of split safety that Jacksonville played?
Not surprising how much split safety we tend to see, but obviously we're able to sustain some drives, put up a lot of yards. Got to come away with points on particularly the red zone opportunities. There was really the story of the game. But the longer we play with Justin Jefferson and obviously some of the other skill players we have, and to see some of these coverages and not always just too deep. There's some two-man technique just for Justin. Some specific things just to try to defend him that we've got to be prepared for. We do expect some of that within the game, but really that was a big part of Nielsen's game plan there, and they were, give them credit, they were able to kind of keep us from scoring some points, but we feel like we can be better in some of those areas.
Wes, with the red zone, I'm just curious, you guys obviously haven't had an issue scoring points overall, but with the imbalance of passing versus rushing there, you guys mostly throw them in. Just, is that a concern at all, or is it, you know what you're good at, you're just going to keep doing it?
Yeah, I think, you look at kind of the halfbacks running the football in the game. If you're taking out Sam and kind of the other kind of one-off plays, we averaged 4.2 a carry. We did not have we had a 13 and we had an 11 were our longest hits of the day. So and then really we didn't have any other opportunities to be kind of close enough. So we didn't hit a long run. We churned out some good yards throughout, but we didn't have that 20-yard touchdown run. We really didn't get close enough to attempt to really run the ball in the end zone unless you're going to get a bigger hit. And honestly, we felt like within the game there were some plays where if we're just a little bit better in an area or two, that those plays were close to being a 20-yard, a 30-yard run, and that's where we've got to get to if a team wants to kind of put a shell over the top of it. And not only have that average jumps up quite a bit when you have a couple of really explosive type runs, and we felt like we were close, but we just got to be a little bit better there, and make teams think twice about playing shell the whole game.
Wes, how do you think about Sam's performance the past 2 weeks when you think about the turnovers and balance it with the other things that he's done over the past 2 weeks?
Yeah. It is a balance, and sometimes, the turnovers are a concern. Certainly, it's not something we brush over. Everyone will tell you across the league, each one has its own story, and that's 100% true. And we try to coach them on each individual one, whether it's decision, whether it's feet and eyes, and location, all those types of things, or whether it's sometimes out of your control, sometimes other people around you can do a better job. There's times where a quarterback doesn't get to finish his arm on the throw, and the ball usually doesn't go where he intends it to go. So there's a lot of factors there, but we're just going to keep coaching and keep trying to make sure that we're getting to the plays that we're rock solid on what the intent is from our standpoint, from Kevin's standpoint when he calls the play, so that Sam is on the same page, and hopefully we can set it up in a way that we get the guys open for him.
Wes, what's the connection between TJ coming back and Josh having two really the best receiving games in his career?
Yeah, the correlation there, I don't know how much. I think just sometimes there's a little bit of just play. He's getting more time, I think, in general to play. Josh has this year, even in more 11 personnel on early downs, whereas maybe that was more TJ last year, when he was fully healthy on early downs. Obviously, when we get into 12 personnel, TJ's in there with Josh. So some of it just may be coincidence, but Josh has always been a good receiving tight end when the opportunities arise. And then having TJ, it was just great to see like TJ double up a linebacker and get that 26-yard gain as a part of it. It just gives you one more guy that the defense has to account for. But Big Josh rolling up the seam there is a big good target for him, and then some of the kind of movement game, the keeper game last 2 weeks ago, where he's kind of shedding a block and getting out to the flat, those types of things he's been really good at. He's really strong and physical, able to kind of take an end and then throw him to the ground sometimes and get himself open. So, and then he made a great catch last week where, we had to challenge that thing, but we all felt like it was a catch, and he's usually not that demonstrative. If it was not a catch, he was very sure of that, and it was a 5-yard game, but every yard counts. So.
Do you feel like the opposing defense's corners have been more physical in the last few weeks than at other times, or no?
I think it's a little more. Usually, they don't change from what they've done a lot of, for one game. Most of the time, the teams that are going to get it up in a guy's face and really try to jam him and make it hard for him at the line of scrimmage, you will see that within the game. I mean, a team that plays a lot of vision defense is generally not going to change their whole scheme for us unless it's just a specific coverage where, hey, we've got a cloud over JJ. We're going to put the corner up there, and now he knows he's got help behind him. So you see some of that, but philosophy-wise, I mean, they played some of these coverages throughout the year. It's just not necessarily the whole game, which and again, credit to them. They were able to keep us out of the end zone. So this league sees what happens, and it's a copycat league, and teams are going to see, hey, they didn't score a touchdown, and if they want to try to recreate that, we'll be ready.
Well, Wes, when you see the degree of shell coverage that you have, and you see this around the league, but how difficult is that for a quarterback to be patient when it's, hey, we'll give you the 6 and 7 yarders, not being able to put it over the top as much?
I think it just goes back to just taking what the defense gives you over and over and over again, and I think it is hard. I mean, I remember it just kind of came up in my mind recently because of the Detroit game. They had 5 interceptions and they won the football game. I said, my first game in the NFL was at Buffalo on Monday night with Tony Romo. He was only the second guy ever who had thrown 5 interceptions in a game and won the football game. And that was a Tampa 2 defense the whole time. And, it's kind of, to your point, it can be difficult sometimes to just take it over and over. And they are counting on you making a mistake. They get a sack, a tipped ball, whatever that may be. It's kind of bend but don't break kind of philosophy. And you have to be good with your execution. You have to be good in zones. You have to take what they give you, ball security. All those things have to be kind of on point. And really, we felt like, we had a 12-yard drive or a 12-play drive, a 14-play drive, a 17-play drive. We had some really sustained success, but we just got to be better when we get closer.
With Darnold's 1 interception to JJ in the back of the end zone, it's kind of a low ball. Is that just a matter where you want a better placement of that ball, or could he have made a different read or decision on that play?
Yeah, there were some different things going on in that play. It was good protection, so he did have time to kind of sit in there. I'm sure Sam would tell you he'd like to put that thing a little bit more out in front on that ball there. It was certainly a close play, whether it was picked off or not. But we felt like we might get that one back, in the moment. But yeah. Protection was good there. I think they dropped 8 on that play. So guys did a good job against 3-man rush, had a lot of time, would like to obviously get a better result.
Wes, when you're communicating intent of the play to a quarterback or was doing it or whoever, like how specific does that get? Is that literally like the ball should go here or the ball should go there, or like what does that mean?
Yeah, it's usually you're trying to see kind of what coverages they play, and it's never just, hey, the ball is going to go here, just hit your back foot and throw it to Justin. It's if they're playing this coverage that they play, then the next coverage, hey, now we're going to be progressing through and working to this player. It's kind of and some of it's how you're seeing the coverage disperse. Hey, if it's quarters, the way their quarter safety plays, he's going to take the high cross, and now Jordan Addison's going to be one-on-one with the corner out there on a corner post, something like that. It still takes some recognition there when you're talking about explaining intent of the play from the quarterback, as the ball hits his hands.
Les, you talked about the Sam having to be patient when you see all that shell coverage. You've seen it before, but like, have you seen Justin process also needing to be patient when they're trying to take him away with such regularity?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of stamina for a guy, who has seen a lot of this type of stuff, but a little competitive stamina, not to get too frustrated, and then we just have to have a plan as well. If it's going to be man underneath, and there's some things we got to in the game that we thought would be good plays for him, in those circumstances. But again, we're going to try to target Justin when we can, because we know, if he's getting touches, then we're going to be more explosive. We're going to be a better offense. So we do appreciate, how good he is about some of that sometimes, and the emotions are going to come through sometimes. But he's also got a good understanding of the game and what's happening, and knowing that if they are taking him away, if they're spending a lot of energy and focus on him, that other guys are going to make plays. And I think you saw that with some of our tight end production and some other guys here and there through the game, and really run game production as well.
Well, Wes, the illegal formation on Cam that wiped out that red zone play with Jordan, how do they go about it? Does he get a warning, or had he been warned before that? And it seems like that could be called a lot. And then for it to come out in a red zone like that, it seems. Yeah,
that was a tough call, after you convert a 3rd and 13 and you're going to have 1st and goal inside the 5. It was one of those we kind of weren't sure what the call was. We just knew a flag had been thrown out, and then we heard illegal formation, and we only had a tight end on the ball over to that side where the flag was thrown. So we figured he was the only guy over there. He must have been on the football, but they told us what it was. Generally, there's some sort of warning unless it's egregious, that he's way off the football. So apparently they thought it was egregious in that case, and they threw the flag. So, a lot of times it's been an emphasis this year. So a lot of times you'll get even a pregame warning. Kevin, that when in his meeting with the referees, they'll kind of remind you. So I don't know if that was given out in that meeting or not, but generally the player will get a warning, and the coach will get told that they were warned as well. So you can kind of make sure, but I don't think it happened that time.
So in that case, he was not warned. They considered that egregious.
Yeah, I don't believe so. But like I said, yeah, they still can call that penalty if they feel like it was egregious. So we just, a lot of times I think when you look across the league at some of those calls, what happens a lot with those tackles is they get down in their stance and they're bent over, and then they kind of straighten up to their pass pro kind of set. So they're in a good spot. They they see where their hat's at in relation to kind of the belt of the center, and then they'll straighten up a little bit, and that's where, you know, and we had a tight end on the football as well, and it can kind of look a little funky sometimes. The tight end's crowding the ball. The tackle just looks like he's farther back. So maybe that was the case.
Wes, as you guys are processing all of the different coverages that you use against Justin, I guess, how is J.J. McCarthy looking at all of this when he's just sitting in meetings and kind of having a front row seat for the first time of defenses trying to take away a certain player? What kind of conversations or what kinds of questions is he asking about how a quarterback finds answers for that in the NFL?
Well, number one, I think he's like a sponge, right now, where he's just absorbing everything and what the NFL looks like, and to be able to be a part of all this, even though he's not playing, game plan from week to week and the difference, and it's a whole new set of problems, whether it's different coverages you're seeing or protections, and then within game, okay, they're playing this differently than we had expected as far as, the full game playing out. So, he asks the right questions, and he also knows when to ask and when not to ask, during the game week and during meetings, and he'll catch you on the side. He'll catch you in your office. He'll be walking down the hall in the coaches area. Not a lot of players around that coaches area upstairs, so but he'll pop by and say, "Hey, I had a question on this," and so he's just soaking it all up and doing everything he possibly can, being a player that's been out.
Wes, in terms of the short yardage, 3rd and 1 type of situations, how do you balance wanting to take shots when there are opportunities potentially with the defense up versus wanting to just kind of plow forward and get those yardage?
Yeah, you're referring to the 3rd and 1 there at the end. I mean, looking back, we look back, wish we would have, run the football, and we had a couple good runs there to get to that 3rd and 1. Also looking at some of the things that they had done, felt like everything was going to be kind of packed in there with the safety getting up close to the line of scrimmage, and really weren't taking a shot there per se, just kind of a simple, some people call it a fire pass or a spider pass or a spider 2 wide banana, similar to that, and away, after a couple runs, maybe shoot CJ out to the flat and maybe get an easy one to continue the drive, but obviously can be a little bit better in protection, number one, to give us an opportunity, and number two, just looking back, wish we would have run the football.
Yeah, just in general, you guys have passed kind of quite a bit more than run in those like 3rd, 4th downs. I guess that's well. I wasn't just referring to the one.
Yeah, well,
overall philosophy.
Also, it is interesting too because sometimes some of these 3rd and 1s are also like they're really closer to 2s. Some of them, or in the game, we're making that decision quickly, and is it truly 1 or is it almost 2? Some of those happen every year in games where it's closer to 2 here, and do we like our short yardage plan to get 1 at that time? And so those things factor in, but yeah, there's no set plan to just, hey, we're going to throw it more than we run it. It's really week to week. Thanks.